The laughter from the restaurant corner was loud enough to turn heads. It wasn't the joyful kind of laughter that warms a room. It was sharp, cruel, and pointed. Sitting alone at the small table by the window, under the soft gold glow of afternoon sunlight, Owen Hale realized the truth. The woman who was supposed to meet him for a blind date wasn't running late. She wasn't coming at all. And the group of people snickering a few tables away, their laughter was about him. About the single dad who thought someone might actually want to know him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that finds you when the world least expects it, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Journal. Your support helps us keep spreading true stories that touch the heart. The moment hung heavy. Owen stared at the untouched coffee in front of him, his reflection rippling in the dark liquid. He wasn't sure what stung more, the humiliation or the reminder that life had not been kind for a long time. Just months ago, he was scraping by, raising his 6-year-old daughter, Mara, in a small rented apartment above an old hardware store. His days began before sunrise, juggling 2 jobs, one at a construction site and another delivering groceries in the evenings. Nights were quieter, but never peaceful. The ache of exhaustion and loneliness always found a way in. The blind date had been his coworkers' idea, or so he thought. They told him he needed to get out, to stop hiding behind fatherhood. They even arranged the meeting, promising he'd thank them later. Owen had spent the entire morning ironing the only decent shirt he owned, rehearsing what he might say, convincing himself maybe, just maybe, something good could happen. But when he realized it was all a cruel prank, his heart broke in a quiet, invisible way that only people who've lost too much could understand. He was gathering the courage to leave when a woman's voice stopped him. "Excuse me, are you Owen Hale?" He turned, startled. Standing before him was a woman in her early 30s, tall, composed, and impossibly elegant in a simple white blouse and beige trousers. Her hair was swept into a low bun, and her eyes, warm brown with a touch of curiosity, held him still. "Yes," he said hesitantly. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said with a small smile. Traffic was a mess. The laughter from the corner faded instantly. The group who had mocked him stared, unsure. Owen blinked, completely thrown. He didn't know her, he was sure of it. And yet here she was, sliding gracefully into the seat across from him as though she belonged there. Her name was Clara Wynne. To the world outside, she was the CEO of Wynne and Grant Enterprises, a major design firm known for reshaping city skylines. But Owen didn't know that, not then. To him, she was just a stranger with kind eyes and a calm presence who decided to sit with him when everyone else turned away. Clara could feel the tension in the air. She had been in the restaurant earlier, attending a meeting in the private section, when she overheard the cruel laughter. She had seen the man sitting alone, the way his hand trembled slightly as he checked the time, the sadness that lived in his posture. Something in her heart couldn't bear it. Without thinking, she had walked over, pretending to be his date. As they talked, the awkwardness faded. Owen was shy at first, uncertain of her sudden kindness, but his honesty began to shine through. He spoke about Mara with quiet pride, how she loved painting rainbows on their walls and dreamed of being an astronaut. He mentioned how her laughter was the only reason he kept going. Clara listened, captivated. He didn't try to impress her. He spoke like someone who had learned the beauty of small joys. For the first time in a long while, Owen laughed too. And though he didn't realize it then, that single act of kindness would ripple through both their lives in ways neither could imagine. Over the next few weeks, Clara couldn't shake the thought of him. She told herself it was just empathy, nothing more. But late at night, she found herself replaying his words, his humility, his gentleness, the unspoken strength behind his tired eyes. She had built her life around perfection and control, rising to the top of an empire. But somehow, one quiet afternoon spent with a struggling single dad had made her feel more human than years of success ever did. Meanwhile, Owen tried to forget the moment. He didn't belong in her world, he knew that. When she called him a week later, saying she wanted to meet again, he nearly said no. But something in her voice, sincere and unpretentious, made him say yes. Their second meeting wasn't fancy. Clara insisted on coming to the park where Mara liked to play. Owen watched as Clara knelt beside his daughter, helping her build a sandcastle, her laughter soft and unguarded. Mara instantly adored her, calling her Miss C and showing her every drawing she'd made that week. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and painted the sky in soft amber, Owen felt something he hadn't in years. Peace. He realized he was smiling without effort. But the world rarely allows fragile happiness to bloom without testing it. A month later, Owen's coworkers found out who Clara really was. The news spread like wildfire. The CEO who dated the guy they pranked. Social media picked it up. A gossip article mocked the Cinderella story, calling Owen a charity case. Cameras showed up near the construction site, chasing his humiliation again. Clara's company board began questioning her judgment, warning her that her personal associations could hurt the brand. Owen tried to protect her. He stopped answering her calls, telling himself it was better this way. He couldn't be the reason her reputation suffered. He didn't belong in her world of glass towers and designer suits. He belonged on the ground covered in dust, doing what he knew best. Working quietly, surviving quietly. Clara, however, refused to let go. She found him one evening outside his apartment, sitting on the steps while Mara colored beside him. The setting sun turned her hair to gold as she walked up to him, her heels clicking softly on the pavement. "Owen," she said, her voice trembling, "you don't get to decide what's best for me. You showed me what real strength looks like. What kindness looks like. Don't take that away because of fear." He looked at her, his throat tight. "Clara, people like you don't end up with people like me. Maybe that's because people like me never stopped long enough to see what really matters," she whispered. For a long moment, neither spoke. The world seemed to pause around them. The hum of traffic, the chatter of neighbors, even the rustle of the wind. And then Mara looked up from her coloring book, holding out a paper heart she had cut herself. "Miss C," she said softly, "you can have this if you promise not to make my daddy sad anymore." That simple gesture shattered every wall between them. Clara knelt, tears glistening in her eyes as she accepted the little heart. "I promise," she said, her voice breaking. From that day on, things didn't magically become easy, but they became real. Clara didn't hide Owen. She stood by him publicly, ignoring headlines and whispers. Her firm's employees soon saw what she did, a man of quiet resilience who faced humiliation and hardship with dignity. Owen became the silent example Clara often spoke of in her company meetings, the man who reminded her that every empire means nothing without heart. Months passed, and their bond deepened. Clara often spent evenings at Owen's apartment, helping Mara with homework or listening to Owen's stories about the city skyline, the same one she was building, brick by glass brick. He showed her a world without pretense, and she showed him that love wasn't something you had to earn. It was something you deserved simply by being genuine. One bright spring morning, Owen was invited to one of Clara's charity events, a formal gathering filled with powerful people and media cameras. He almost refused again, but Mara insisted on coming, dressed in her tiny floral dress. As they entered, the murmurs started, but this time Clara took his hand before everyone. "Everyone," she said, standing tall at the podium, her hand steady in his. "This is Owen Hale, the man who reminded me what success really means. Being human, being kind, and never giving up." Applause filled the hall, not polite or staged, but real heartfelt applause. And for the first time, Owen didn't feel out of place. He felt seen. By the end of the evening, as they stood together on the balcony overlooking the glowing city, Clara turned to him and said quietly, "You changed my life, Owen." He smiled, eyes glistening. "No," he said, "you just showed me it wasn't over yet." They stayed like that, framed by city lights, with the wind carrying soft laughter and the hum of hope. Sometimes life's cruel jokes become the starting lines of the most beautiful chapters. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. It helps us continue to bring you stories that prove compassion can change lives. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe love can find you even after heartbreak and loss? Because sometimes it's the broken hearts that learn how to love the strongest.